Very much, Sharks. And congratulations to NaJin White Shield taking the top seed in the bracket. Let's talk about the game before we move on to the quarterfinals. I want to start with picks and bans. I think it was an interesting composition that NaJin White Shield put together. Not totally unexpected. And top lane Italy. We've finally seen it. Definitely didn't show up as often as we were expecting.
Yeah, so this was kind of interesting here. Cloud9 definitely had really good map play eventually with this team composition. It's a lot of heavy split pushes, a lot of duelists, and then a pretty good defensive team with a Corki and Janna sitting back. What I didn't like, though, from their picks and bans, though, was I feel like Cloud9 pinched champions really weirdly. On red side, your main goal is to basically pinch 3 champions, where blue side gets 1, you get 2 high priorities yourself. Nidalee and Corki both didn't feel like pinchable champions, whereas like banning Lee Sin, taking Kha'Zix, to me would have been the more obvious choice for setting yourself up for a powerful composition.
Monty?
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. The thing is, though, is the early takeaway of Nidalee really... NaJin White Shield is a team that likes to play Nidalee in the top lane. And just to go over to picks and bans here a little bit, what people may not know is that Save will play Teleport Zed in the top lane. And so what was so intelligent about Shield's pick and ban process here is that since Save and Goong both play Kassadin and they both play Zed, they didn't actually have to make a decision about where their lanes were going until they actually saw that final pick, which gave them a lot of versatility. Now, what I didn't like about what Cloud9 was doing is we've seen very similar compositions with an AD Assassin mid and Nidalee top from NaJin White Shield in the past. But what Shield will do in this circumstance is instead of building a Trinity Force Nidalee, they will build Sheen, and then they have the option, the Nidalee has the option of then building into Lichbane and Chalice and having an AP Nidalee. Because their problem was that they focused a lot on one type of damage with that composition, just overwhelming amounts of AD, which made it easier in turn in the long run for Shield to itemize again.
Talk to me about the Nidalee top. I know you quite like the pick in that setup as well, Crepo.
Yeah, I'm a big Nidalee fan just because I feel she 1v1s almost any lane, and she's incredibly good in 2v2s. Put a range support next to Nidalee, and she will come out of the lane swap less behind than the enemy top laner in nearly all the cases. The only thing that can really rival it in my opinion, is a Ryze and a range support. They did it really well. You saw that early as well. They couldn't deny them anymore. They were struggling. At one point, Nidalee even came close to a kill. The only reason I feel like you could swap into a Nidalee is if you just want to keep her down. You don't want her to become a split-pushing monster if you have no way for doing that in lane.
Now, something I point out with the Nidalee is that I'm almost certain that Boss has never played against a Kassadin top as Nidalee. That is not a champion you see in North America, ever. And it's only almost exclusive to Korea, and I don't think they expected that, because when you think about that matchup, you're like, oh, I wouldn't want to take that matchup, and they lane swapped, and they were doing pretty well in the lane swap, but the Zillion passive allowed Kassadin to get the levels he needed to make sure that when he swapped back into Nidalee, he was able to actually lane from a little bit of a CS deficit.
Yeah, I really like the Nidalee, the Zillion pick router as well, because I really like Zillion with 2 high damage, high mobile assassins that can just go in, and when the enemy team tries to kill you, you just cock block the with the ultimate.
Wow. Right, let's get to the replay really quickly. Pull this one up onto your screen. The mid game played out in favor of NaJin Shield for the most part, but Cloud9 really made Shield work. They put a lot of pressure on this bottom lane. They, got the inhib down, I think, twice. Let's roll the clip out, and Crepo, maybe talk to me about the way Cloud9 was trying to play this. This is the play that eventually led to the Baron for Shield.
When you're this far behind, all you can do is open up the map and try and bait people into overkilling your split push. Right here, he barely gets out and just gets enough damage, and this is a mistake. There's a Zhonya's and there's a Zillion ulti. Neither get used. Balls recognize he doesn't have to chase that anymore, and he goes for the inhib. He will get that inhib at the end, paying his life for it. But that's the way. If you can't deal with them 5v5, you need to open up the map, and Cloud9 did that brilliantly. They pushed bottom, then they backed off. They pushed top, then they backed off. When White saw an opening in mid, they went all the way down to mid. Cloud9 said, okay, well fine, you get mid, we'll trade both sides of the map for you, and Wild should realize that, and they had to base. So Cloud9 was dictating the tempo with a significant, as best as they could from a position behind.
Yeah.
And that was really beautiful to see.
They did play really well from behind, it has to be said, but Shield is used to these kind of circumstances as well, so...
There was a lot of respect from Shield as
well. There was, definitely. I think that was just a fun game to watch. I really enjoyed it. It was pretty darn even.
It was the opposite of what we saw earlier.
Well, final thoughts from Freak.
Yeah, I think it's just unfortunate. Cloud9 gave away so many early leads. Meteos walking into a pink ward, getting first blooded there. I mean, Goong hard carried this game, and you saw how damn smart Cloud9 was. If Goong wasn't 9-1 and 10 this game, and Watch didn't get probably Lee Sin, It's probably a Cloud9 win.
Well, we'll have to see. They're going to have some chances to prove themselves against some other Korean squads. Now that our quarterfinalists are set, let's actually